participate, and I have several that are lined up. But I want people to understand that my story could have been written by just about anybody that served in the military after the Vietnam War. If they were a minority and they came into the service, they were going to face some of the same problems that I did. And you could have written a similar book, and I know dozens of people that could have written a similar book. What I want to do, in my book, I tell people how to avoid some of the situations that I found myself in, and if you can't avoid it, how you deal with it. If you don't have a will book that documents what's happening to you and keep track of what's going on, you're in trouble. Because before you know it, you've been maneuvered into a failure situation, and it's too late to do anything about it.
You're right. And the cards are stacked against you because oftentimes what happens is the weaker or the subordinates are going to follow that leader.
Absolutely.
It does not make a difference how good you are, and some of the time, even your peers will admit to you that, hey, I know you're being treated unfairly, but, and that, you know what that but means.
That's right.
It means I can't support you because if I support you, then they're going to come after me too.
No sense in both of us going down.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So they're going to be like, listen, man, I'm going to give you this canoe and this life vest and see if you can swim upstream on your own, but I'm not going to be on that boat with you. So, you know, Keith, if you had to tell a young service member, and it doesn't matter what branch of service that you go in, because a lot of times our stories are so similar and the experience that we have is so similar. All you do is just change the name on the shirt and the time that it occurred, and it's the same story. What would you tell a young service member coming into the military today on how to progress through their career and make it to their whatever their success is?
I would tell them that what you have to understand is that 100% is not good enough. You're going to have to do that 100% and then figure out ways to add some bonus time to that. Because, you know, my parents told me, you know, a lot of black kids hear this. You have to be twice as good to get half the credit. Well, I found that to be true in a lot of cases. You make sure you're doing, one of the things I always tried to do was if I had some FaceTime with my boss, supervisor, superior, whatever it was, I would always take the opportunity to ask the question, is there anything that I'm not doing that you want me to do, or is there something that I'm doing that you want me to not do? And whatever that answer was, you immediately correct that behavior or you continue doing it. But you don't want to be surprised when it's time for your evaluation to be signed that you had problems that you weren't aware of. So you need to be willing to ask the question and then accept the feedback honestly. Because there were several occasions, had I not asked the question, I would not have known that there was something I was doing that was not pleasing my boss. But you have to put your nose in the books. You need to read and understand those regulations. When some of my peers were off over at the club having liquid lunches, I was in the admin office reading the regulations on the base, and I went over one day and got $70,000 worth of free stuff from the reutilization office and had it delivered by truck. And believe me, I was the captain's golden boy because I saved him $70,000 that he didn't have to spend on equipment for the ship. So even as a young ensign, I was able to break out from the pack with something like that. Another instance was my gunnery officer was getting ready to turn in some ammunition, and I decided I'll use this ammunition to get people qualified for medals and ribbons. So I put a note in the plan of the day, and the next thing you know, I've got all these guys running around with these new ribbons and medals that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to achieve. So you have to find ways to break yourself out from the pack.
Right. Now, you know, Keith, everything you said that's a home run. Because when you go to your supervisor, your superior, your boss, and you ask them, hey, give me feedback on my performance, you do a couple things. First thing you do is you put them on notice that, hey, I am tracking my own career. Okay, I'm not just sitting back waiting for somebody to dictate to me what's going to happen in my career. Second thing is you also put them on notice that, hey, if there's something now that you're keeping from me and I came to you and asked you and you didn't tell me, then it is unfair for you to put that on my evaluation later because you never told me that I had a problem and I came and asked you about it.
That's correct.
You're supposed to be first place.
Right.
Second thing is, you know,